Welcome to Arts and Crafts with Kitston Connects. Today we're doing tie-dye t-shirts. So the first thing you need to do is tie your t-shirt up, and that's how you're going to get those cool white designs that make tie-dye. Here I'm doing the crumple technique. So I'm just taking little pinches of the fabric, starting in the middle, and I'm pulling it all together to get it nice and crumply. Once you're done all of this with your t-shirt, it's going to look almost like a disc, and that's when you want to start putting the elastics on. An important note for when you guys are doing your tie-dye, a white colored item will work best, but any light color should work as long as your dye is going to be darker. That'll be fine. Or if you're using a black cloth, you can do tie-dye with bleach, so that's also pretty cool, but definitely get an olive's help with all of this. For your t-shirts, cotton material or a silk or wool, anything that's natural will work really well. If it's a polyester fabric or a synthetic, those all have plastic in them, so they're not going to dye nearly as well. And the other thing is you want to make sure that you're washing your item before you dye it. That's going to make sure that your dye is sticking to the material as well as possible. After you have your t-shirt all crumpled up, it's time for elastics. So taking one elastic at a time, you want to stretch it from one side of that crumpled body of t-shirt material that you have and pull it all the way to the direct opposite side. You're going to want to do this all the way around the shirt until you have almost like a disc shape. And once you get that shape, then you can start taking those elastics and doubling them over to get a tighter form. You can see that I have re-crumpled some of the edges and I'm pulling them out and then crumpling up again and tucking them in under the elastics. That is completely okay. What this is making sure of is just that the pattern is going all the way to the edges of the shirt. I have this beautiful disc, but our elastics aren't tight yet. So it's really important that your elastics on your tie-dye are tight, otherwise your design isn't going to turn out. So having these elastics tight, make sure that the dye is only touching certain parts of the t-shirt when you're dyeing it, which leaves some sections blank, and that's what makes the pattern. So I'm pulling on these elastics, making a loop, twisting it around, and then wrapping that loop back around the body of the t-shirt. So I'm tightening all of the elastics. And then when your disc is rigid, you know that it is ready. The elastics are tight enough, and this guy's good to go into a dye bath. So that is the Crumple Technique tie-dye t-shirt, and let's jump into the next one. Here we have the Spiral Technique. So for this one, first step as always is to get your t-shirt laid out nice and flat, and then you're going to decide where you want your spiral to start. I picked the middle of my shirt, and all I'm doing is pinching it and twisting. So trying to keep this as flat as possible. I'm twisting my t-shirt with one hand and using my other hand to guide the rest of the t-shirt around into a disc. Then I'm going to take some elastic bands and wrap them one time around the body of the t-shirt that we just rolled up. So I'm just taking one elastic band, then crossing it in the middle to make a grid shape, and then crossing it again with two more to make almost a snowflake. After that, I'm taking all these elastics and then tightening them up just like we did with the Crumple Technique. Making sure that these elastics are super duper tight, because that is how you're going to get that super vibrant pattern. And there you have the Spiral Technique tie-dye. We're going to jump into our last tie-dye pattern for today, and that is the Sunburst Technique. So to get started on this one, you're just going to need to pick the middle points of the sunburst you're going to be creating. You can do as many as you want. You can do one right in the middle if you wanted to create a target kind of effect. I chose to do one on the bottom, more middle section, off to the side of the body, and then I did another one over on the chest section as well. So you're going to be making ponytails basically, making sure that you are getting the front and the back piece of material from your t-shirt in this ponytail, and you can add however many elastics onto this as you want. It's completely up to you. Get a lot of design freedom with this one. So you can see here I'm adding my little piece onto the chest, and then I will also build onto these. So this is going to create one circular ring. Each elastic will create one circular ring. So I'm going to have one ring for each of these two ones. And then as I put an elastic below it, I'm going to have another ring around the previous ring that we did before. So keep that in mind as you're making your design and have some fun with it. Now that I've got some main kind of points on my t-shirt, I'm going around the edges and adding some other details. So I'm adding a elastic on the shoulder, on the sleeve here, and that's just going to make another kind of arc, ring, rainbow kind of design over there. I'm going to end up doing one on the bottom part of the t-shirt as well. So really play around with this. This is one of my favorite techniques because it gives you a lot of freedom, but they are all super fun. And that's the thing with tie-dye. Every single shirt's going to come out different, and you really get to have your own personal touch on it because you do it yourself. You can see here that I'm fiddling with my elastics a little bit. Especially for this design, it's going to be super helpful if you get your elastics overlapping. So for one elastic that's wrapped around the same section, you want to make sure that all of those little rows of elastics are lined up with each other, and that's going to give you the cleanest definition in your pattern. I think I'm almost happy with this. I'm just finishing up my design here with my elastics. So once your t-shirts are all tied, they should be ready to go into some dye. So you guys can check out the other video for that one.